Every online coach, whether they're talking to men or women, pushes the exact same ironclad rule for dating: never chase. But there's an obvious mathematical problem here. If both sides of the market actually listen to this advice and refuse to initiate, the entire system grinds to a halt. Nobody makes the first move, and nobody gets anywhere. Coaches preach this rule for a reason. In any kind of relationship negotiation, the act of pursuit strips you of leverage. Whether you're applying for a job or asking someone on a date, the person making the approach is inherently in a disadvantaged position. The person being chased holds the cards. They have the power to dictate the terms of the relationship, allowing them to secure more of what they want and less of what they don't. So if sitting back and letting the other person come to you guarantees maximum leverage, why does simply waiting around fail so miserably for the vast majority of people? To win the waiting game, you have to possess a specific asset: high baseline attractiveness. You must be physically or socially compelling enough to motivate the other person to willingly forfeit their own negotiating advantage and come to you. Bluntly, most people do not possess that level of attraction. If you aren't already being relentlessly pursued by multiple options, you don't have the leverage required to make a passive strategy work. Think of this dynamic like a soccer match. A team that is down on points doesn't have the luxury of playing defense. They are forced to adopt an aggressive, offensive posture to get back in the game. The same logic applies to human interaction. The less powerful or less attractive player in any given dynamic is the team down on points. They are mathematically forced to pursue if they want to win. The decision to chase has nothing to do with gender roles. The more attractive player simply does not move toward the less attractive player. Pursuit is the absolute, unavoidable necessity of the side lacking leverage. Relational leverage isn't a permanent trait you are born with. It fluctuates based on your sexual marketplace value, which is a cold, objective measure of where you stand relative to your competition. This chart shows how that value tracks over time for men and women. Look closely at the x-axis right here. Around age 30, the average man's marketplace value historically surpasses the average woman's for the very first time. This creates a trap. People who successfully relied on a don't chase policy in their 20s often maintain that exact same strategy in their 30s, but the math has changed. They are suddenly expecting to be pursued by age-appropriate peers who now hold the statistical advantage. Faking a position of power when the numbers are against you doesn't work. The only reliable solution is to redirect your energy entirely toward your domain of control. You cannot change your height or your bone structure, but you can optimize your fitness, your finances, your fashion, and your social skills. These are the measurable metrics that directly increase your baseline value. Showing up to a negotiation and acting like you own the place without the credentials to back it up registers as pure delusion. Building genuine, real-world value is the only mechanism that reliably generates the leverage required to make others come to you. Let's say you do build that value. You execute the passive strategy perfectly, you maximize your attractiveness, and you secure the absolute top position of power in your relationship. That victory comes with a hidden catch. In human dynamics, holding the top spot is never free. It permanently demands a heavy, non-negotiable cost. There is an absolute psychological equation governing these interactions. Legitimate power is equal to privilege plus responsibility. The privileges of power are obvious. You get the luxury of being pursued. You get to call the shots, dictate the terms of the interaction, and receive the adoration and sacrifices of your partner. But those perks are inextricably linked to mandatory responsibilities. The person holding the power is strictly obligated to direct the relationship and to actively protect and provide for the more vulnerable party. You cannot split this equation. Demanding the perks of being chased and idolized without assuming the heavy obligation to lead and provide creates a dynamic that is tyrannical and ultimately unsustainable. Stop wasting time trying to manipulate the dating game for unearned leverage. Instead, build genuine value. Understand your actual position in the market and be fully prepared to shoulder the heavy obligations of the power you demand.